Chelsea were magnificent, fantastic. Every facet that you want from a team was delivered with perfection. They're a West London team, so I'm going to use a bit of a West London phrase. It was debonair. Debonair. That performance. Tactically, Moresca, exquisite. Exquisite on every level. He understood the task. No Pedro, no Delap. We're going to play Neto through the middle. We're going to exploit that higher line. And invariably, they did it fantastically well. Rhys James went into the middle alongside Enzo and Caicedo. And together, they just stopped. We'll get to the red card in a minute and what come after that. They just stopped, barring the opening minute where Torres should have scored. There was 2 or 3 other occasions where Chelsea got opened up, where a Barca player found themselves beyond Caicedo. But whether it was Caicedo, whether it was Gusto, or whether it was Rhys James, consistently winning that ball back, breaking down that play, making it almost impossible for Barcelona to penetrate. Impregnable on every level. On every single level, it was magnificent. They had that down to a T. They pressed them off the park. They allowed them no space. The system, the tactic for the night, coupled with the system, the shape of Chelsea, magnificent. Moresca, take a bow. That was a masterclass. Then you look at the players. And we'll get into individuals, but I'm talking as a team here. They pressed in unison. It was like watching synchronized swimming. The way they moved and operated together. Perfection, beauty personified. But what I liked even more than that was their attitude to this game. You could tell they wanted to win it. They were up for the fight. But they didn't allow that fight to lead to ill discipline. They didn't allow that. It wasn't aggression, it was assertiveness. And there is a distinction, a difference between those two approaches. But they wanted it. And I know a lot of people in the modern day game don't like hearing, oh, what do you mean they wanted it more? They demonstrated they wanted it more. You could see it in, as I say, the way they pressed, the way they defended. The 2 or 3 times Gusto, Caicedo, Rhys James when he was in the centre would cut out opportunities. It was brilliant. That attitude, I thought it was absolutely tip-top. And then you look at it, so you've got the mentalities right, you've got the attitudes right, you've got the system and the tactics and the manager correct. But then it's about execution. You could have a great setup, you could have a great attitude, but if the first touch of 3 or 4 players is off, if the defensive line is all over the place, if the goalie's dropping clangers, if the shots are poor, if the runs are too early, if the runs are too late, if the final ball's overhit, undercooked, you have to look at the execution. And tonight, look, it was 3-0, could have been 6 or 7. Some offsides stopped Chelsea scoring more, but I felt to a man, these Chelsea players delivered tonight. Enzo Fernandez, for me, the best game I've seen him have in a Chelsea shirt. It was I know he had 2 goals that were ruled out, and by the way, there is an argument both should have stood. I think it was an accidental handball from Wesley Fofana, and if it's an accidental handball and you're not the goal scorer, it should stand. The second goal, I don't see why it's offside. Chalobah moves out the way. That's not an action to play the ball. Enzo was onside and should have scored. But it was his play in the middle. I absolutely loved watching him play tonight. I loved everything about Enzo Fernandez's performance tonight. I thought he was exquisite. You know, he got an assist in the game, which people stand out, but the GA didn't matter. It was the overall performance from this man that I thought was absolutely fantastic on every level. I really, really did. I was so impressed with him tonight and the way he played, the way he performed. It was just magnificent. And, you know, it's not even about sort of player statistics or anything like that tonight, but I thought it was great. I really, really did. And should have had a few more goals in this game. But I just thought overall, brilliant. Brilliant in the way he played. Then you have Caicedo. And I'm running out of words to describe this man. He is just a absolute colossus. The way he can win the ball back, the way he can cover that ground, the way he protects his back line, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And what I love about him is this attitude where you can tell that he just wants to protect his team. He loves the defensive side of the game. 95% pass completion tonight. 2 chances created in the match as well. Nearly 90 touches of the ball throughout the course of the game. You know, interceptions, recoveries. 0 times did he get dribbled past tonight. And what I thought was really brilliant, I've already mentioned it already, but there were times where the ball would get played beyond the midfield because Barca are a good team, but the recovery element, fantastic. And I'm not going to be able to name, I'm not going to sit here and name every single Chelsea player. I'm going to let you do that in the comment section to let me know more and more players. I thought Neto run the line very well. I thought Rhys James, he played 2 positions tonight. And what I love about Rhys James is he does something that I hold in high esteem, where I keep the same energy. One of the reasons I think Ryan Giggs is not just one of the greatest footballers of all time, but one of the most underrated players, is he went from a marauding winger to being a central midfield player, changed his roles, but did them both at a top-class to world-class level. Rhys James, he wasn't a winger, he's a fullback, but he can step into the midfield. And he doesn't look like a fullback that's inverted. He looks like a midfielder. And he did both roles tonight in such an impeccable and delightful way to watch. But for me, the player that I'm giving the most amount of praise to tonight, and if I forgot someone, Chelsea fans, please forgive me, but I was just so excited watching him again tonight. And that was none other than Estevao. Estevao, young man, take a bow. And I heard a commentator say this. I haven't researched the stats, so if I've got it slightly wrong, correct me in the comment sections. But Estevao tonight becomes the 2nd youngest player to score 3 goals within his first 3 starts in the Champions League. Only Kylian Mbappe did it younger. I loved his tenacity tonight. I loved the way he wanted to get involved consistently. He always wanted the ball, asking for the ball, begging for the ball. He took on so many players. He was just dangerous. It didn't matter to me that not every dribble came off. It didn't matter to me that not every pass came off. I don't judge players like that. I'm not out here trying to score points on X, score points on... So I don't need the clout. You guys have given me one of the biggest platforms out there. I just get to speak the honest truth. It's amazing. I don't need to do it for attention. And yes, some things didn't come off for him. But it didn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because he was that constant thorn in their side. And I think that Chelsea have got such a special talent on their hands here. But that all being said, he created the most amount of chances tonight, okay? And yes, he lost the most duels as well. But that don't matter. The reason he lost the most duels is because he tried so many. And he only won 3 of the 12 that he attempted tonight. But he didn't stop. And do you know why that's important? And do you know why that's so key? Because that goal that he scored was special. Taking on defenders, hit at over 60 miles an hour into the roof of the net. By the way, from a very acute angle. From a very, very acute angle. The reason that goal came, though, and it was... I don't quite remember the minute. I want to say about 65 minutes into the game. 55 minutes, actually. But can you imagine if he was a player with thin skin? Could you imagine if he was a player that once he's tried 1 duel, 2 duels, 3, 1 dribble, 2 dribble, 3 dribbles, and they don't come off? Can you imagine if he shrunk? And I don't want to shit on any other players here tonight, but I'm going to remind Chelsea fans of a player that was at their team last season, namely Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho could start a game really quick, really fast, really powerful, take a man on. As soon as he lost a few duels and couldn't get past somebody, every time it was dip, 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 pass it back. Estevao wasn't like that. He would just keep going. I love it. I love football players like this. I don't care if he loses the ball. He tracks back and runs after it. I don't care if that through ball doesn't come off. I don't care if his first 2 crosses get cut out or overhit. Keeps going. He keeps trying. And I grew up in an era where that was recognised as a good quality, not as a wasteful quality. And I thought Estevao tonight, 18 years of age, fantastic. Now, I did forget a player. And I need to mention him, and I don't know how I forgot about this guy. Cucurella. Cucurella. Cucurella cooked Yamal. Cooked him. Pocketed. Forget the red card that Arejo got. Yes, it became an easier game after that for Chelsea. Why'd the red card come? Before I get back to Cucurella, because you were ripping them apart. That's why the red card happened. And I keep the same energy. When Man United went up in numerical advantage against Chelsea, it's because in the opening 3 minutes, we ripped you apart and it leads to mistakes. It isn't luck for Chelsea tonight. They got the red card in their favour because of how well they were playing. But Cucurella, ever before that, gave Yamal nothing. Zero. None. Not a dicky bird. Absolutely nothing on every single... It was just... Wow. You know, there are a lot of calls. I'm not going to make the claim tonight. I'm going to let you guys do it in the comments. I'm going to wait for another show with a panel. But if he isn't the best left back in the world, he's one of them. To do that to Yamal tonight with the list that's as long as your arm of other players that he has pocketed, destroyed and ruined, out of this world. Absolutely out of this world. Cucurella take a bow as well. That tonight, Chelsea, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, that was sublime. It was sublime on every single level. Yes, there's going to be people that play it down and go handsy flick and he's high line, but you've got to play, you've got to exploit it. Newcastle had them at home, couldn't beat them, and lost. You had to be good, and you were on every level. So well done to Chelsea tonight. And I will say before we go and go into your comments, Chelsea feel to me like they're coming of age. They were rightfully criticised earlier on in the season with some of their defeats, the United game and the Brighton game, ill discipline, and the game, the results that came with it, a few before it and after. But they're settling in nicely now. They're a team. I don't think they'll win the Premier League, but I do think they can win any of the other competitions they're in, namely the Champions League. When you can play like that tonight, fantastic. Well done, Chelsea.